We got a Trump update here for the J6 trial. This is the Jack Smith's first trial that was up for the four charges that, if you remember correctly, Jack Smith withdrew four of the charges under the explanation that they were challenged because they were too general and all that. So he withdrew four of the charges, knocking it to 88 indictments, 88 charges instead of 92. This was basically in preparation for what everyone knew was coming with the Supreme Court trying to give some form of presidential immunity. So those were taken out because they were the only things in those charges that actually were in danger of what the Supreme Court could have given him. So they were kind of 2 steps, 5 steps, 10 steps ahead of Trump in the Supreme Court. So that was all worked on, as well as once the decision was handed down with the presidential immunity, and that Chutkan and everyone else was going to have to go through every single piece of evidence in a evidentiary hearing, which would give a lot of the evidence and the information about what he did, allegedly, before the election. It would expose a bunch of that information, which I believe was the biggest problem with this case going forward, not only for Donald J. Trump, but also for the dozens of congressmen and women and senators that were involved in all the new information that's coming out about the J6 people, and that they were going to meetings, pre-planning meetings for January 6th. They were given guided tours, all this other stuff. All of that information is in the J6 evidence. That would need to come out in trial, because then it would show how everything's done. All that's going to come out, which means those other people will be pursued, hopefully before the election, or indictments will be filed. Now, what's important about what Jack Smith filed today is he actually took those 4 charges that he initially pulled out, he reworked them, and he took any of the pieces of the charge. Like, for instance, it was a 46 page filing in the initial indictment for these charges. After he took out all the pieces that actually could fall under the presidential job description and the immunity that the Supreme Court has given Donald Trump. So he was already pulling those pieces out in preparation for this. And since getting the actual decision, he was able to fine-tune exactly what he would allow back in. So he reintroduced all of those charges. All 4 of them are back in. All 4 of them went through an additional grand jury. So the entire grand jury process that went on, with all of the evidence being heard, with 12 people, both Republican and Democrat, chosen by the attorneys, same thing, voir dire and all that other stuff. All of that happened for these 4 charges already. So the grand jury already looked at these 4 charges and said, yes, there's still enough to beyond the shadow of a doubt. So those charges are now moving forward. He's back up to 92. This is a big deal because September 5th, by this Friday, today is Tuesday, September 5th, which is a week from Friday, is the basically case management type of hearing where they make sure everyone's got their ducks in a row, everyone's ready to proceed. And then we've got, September 11th, and then we've got the 18th with the sentencing for the other trial, and the $500 million one's going to. So all of these things with Jack Smith are rolling forward because he made the adjustments he needed to adjust. It's insane how that, he knows what he's doing. Jack Smith's a rock star, 97%, conviction rate, and a war crime special investigator. I think he can handle someone with the stable brilliance as Donald J. Trump. Just saying. So pay attention. The Trump cases are all moving forward. The other cases so far, we've got now it's closer to $500 million. For that one, $130 million for the E. Jean Carroll. Those appeals are getting shot down as we go, so those are going to be moving forward as well. And the ability for New York to actually reach in and start taking the properties back. Any property that was obtained through nefarious means, any loans that were received to purchase a property under false pretenses. There is part of this New York state law where they can go after this too. So the Trump trials are going. Justice is coming. And when Kamala Harris takes the presidency and the Democrats take the Congress, law enforcement will be back in the House, literally. Legitimate law enforcement, evidence-driven, fact-based prosecutions. Stay diligent, stay educated, be kind. We are all in this together. And believe that this democratic experiment that was structured so long ago had the right guardrails. We've just had the wrong people in the positions. They figured out what they had to take over to control the guardrails and control the ship. That needs to be fixed. God bless.